Hi guys, welcome back to the news. Femi Falana issues fresh warning to the federal government. Guys, the human rights lawyer Femi Falana's son has warned the federal government and the political class to be very careful not to, to push and provoke Nigerians to mutiny. Niger News reports that Falana on Thursday in Abuja during the National Symposium organized by the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) with the theme Nigeria Economy and the Crisis of Survival, robbing the poor to pay the rich, has said government officials should mind how they spend extravagantly to avoid annoying the citizens. He said while the government has told Nigerians to brace up for the economic hardship, its officials are lavishing money, noting that as long as figures of extravagant spending by the National Assembly continue, that Nigerians will be irritated and so will be the enemies of democracy. Falana's warning was against the backdrop of the recent coup wave in Africa, the latest of which is the one in Gabon and the Niger Republic. He attributed the recent trend of military juntas in Africa, especially the Gabon case, to several factors such as ruthless exploitation of African countries, mineral resources by the West, third-term syndrome, political manipulation of the constitution, and the establishment of foreign military bases in African nations. He submitted that they must be very careful not to provoke Nigerians to mutiny. Some of the things going on in the National Assembly shows that we are in trouble already. Now, 70 billion naira for palliatives for 469 people. And when we said no, they claim it was for the facelift of the National Assembly. 3 years ago, 37 billion was earmarked for the facelift of the National Assembly. That contract has not been fully executed and there is no renewal of the contract. So you cannot talk about 70 billion naira for facelift. Secondly, 40 billion naira to buy exotic cars now for the leadership of the National Assembly is not going to be allowed. The latest provocative news from the National Assembly is that 54 billion naira has been earmarked by the constituency project for 360 members of the House of Reps. It has come to 150 million per person under this, hardship condition we are facing in this country. Under this terrible economic, hardship that we are suffering in this country. So when these figures are oozing out of the National Assembly, Nigerians are being provoked. And the enemies of democracy are being provoked. The military has been honest to say that they are under pressure to dismantle this, this political system. But someone told them to go and delay it. And they came out and denied it. But we can still read between the lines. So my country people, today America has 29 military bases in Africa. France has 15. Soldiers are protesting because number of these foreign bases are receiving salaries as if they are in their countries. So the soldiers are protesting the preferential treatment between them and these foreign troops. So we must look at that. The remote cause are the ruthless exploitation of mineral resources of our countries by Western countries. The people are getting poorer, and the poor are asked to tighten their belts even when they are dying. We may dare discussing democracy. Meanwhile, democracy is under threat in Africa. Well, my country people, Femi Falana has, called out to the government that Nigerians are being provoked by our leaders. He has warned, the Nigerian government and the political class not to provoke the citizens. Now we see that this is a case of robbing the poor to pay the rich, with the fuel subsidy, with everything going on in this nation. Meanwhile, our public officials, they keep on spending lavishly, leaving the poor to suffer. And the poor who are suffering are not even allowed to breathe. Meanwhile, the president, the Nigerian government, the federal government will tell the poor that they should be patient, that a time will come, all this will end. Meanwhile, the rich, the National Assembly members, they are enjoying themselves. 70 billion naira for palliatives for the National Assembly for these people. And now they claim, oh, they want to use this money for the facelift of the National Assembly. Now they have also budgeted 40 billion naira to buy exotic cars for the the leadership of the National Assembly, which many have kicked against this. And how much did Tinubu give to a state? 5 billion naira to a state of how many people? Meanwhile, the National Assembly, they are getting 70 billion naira worth of this palliative. For how many people? 460 persons are going to get 70 billion naira. Meanwhile, Tinubu's government, the federal government, is allocating 5 billion naira to each state for palliative. How much will get to the hands of the people who desperately needs this money? So my country people, a lot is really going on. Our leaders, they are living life to the fullest, enjoying themselves, and at the end of the day, they say we are practicing democracy. Democracy is threatened under Africa. Democracy is under threat in this Africa that we are in today. So my country people, this is it. A lot is really going on, and people are beginning to take note of these things. And people are now calling out for the federal government to be mindful. Because what we see happening in Niger, in Gabon, it didn't just start today. The people have been enduring for long, but it got to a point whereby they said no, they won't endure anymore. They have to push back. They have to fight back. So my country people, government by civilian in Africa is worse than military rule. Because Africa is not ripe for democracy. The West easily manipulates our democracy to their advantage. The West Africa is the #1 problem. So you see, one of these two things can happen anytime soon in Nigeria. If the government of the APC continues this way, it's either there will be a coup d'etat, or the citizens, the civilians, will come out in millions to save their country and their family. Nigeria should be in line, because enough is enough. The civilians are happy in these African countries, meaning that the military is welcome. Well, we are watching Nigeria. This is now a revolution that is sweeping across the sub-Saharan African countries. We are watching. But then, my country people, what are your thoughts on this? It seems that a lot of African countries, the people, they are tired of this democratic government. So guys, I'm dropping here. Kindly share your thoughts on this in the comment section. Thank you. Bye for now.